Nicole is a librarian who maintains order by counting 14,217 books, 38 steps to the reference desk. But her system is failing. Anomalies are appearing in the stacks. Books with pages that number backwards. The sudden, sharp scent of copper. And tucked inside an uncatalogued text, an 1847 map of the city, marked with exactly 12 distinct locations. It reads like the work of a master architect. The tension escalates with methodical precision, the breadcrumbs laid out by an author in total control of the narrative. Except there is no architect. This story was written by 8 complete strangers. They have never spoken, they did not share an outline. A cohesive, tightly wound thriller should be impossible to build by committee. So we have to ask how 8 isolated people wrote a masterpiece by accident. You might know the old parlor game, Exquisite Corpse, where one person writes a sentence, folds the paper, and hands it to the next. Historically, this method collapses almost immediately. Characters abruptly swap personalities mid-scene. The plot spirals into a disjointed, tonally inconsistent mess. Yet this story, What We Keep Inside, tightens its grip with every chapter. The dread is cumulative and logical. This survival is the direct result of a specific, rigid architecture designed to prevent creative collapse. The platform is called Relay Writers. It relies entirely on anonymous, sequential storytelling. First, the boundary, a hard cap of 800 words per chapter, no space for excess exposition. Then comes the clock. The writer has exactly 48 hours to read, write, and submit. Finally, the blind handoff to the next writer. Zero communication, zero coordination. These constraints act like a Dewey Decimal System for creativity. By forcing immediate, decisive action without the luxury of overthinking or debating, the system filters out the chaos. Let's examine how this pressure shapes a narrative in real time, looking at the exact moment the baton passes between Writer 2 and Writer 3. Writer 2 sets a trap. They drop that map with the 12 X's into the plot and abruptly end their chapter, leaving the protagonist staring down the first location. Writer 3 inherits this cliffhanger. Under the pressure of a 48-hour clock and a blind handoff, they must invent a logical, terrifying meaning for those marks without breaking the established tone. They solve the problem by pushing the narrative forward logically. Writer 3 guides the protagonist to a bathroom wall smelling of copper and to a microfilm reel describing historical reigns of iron nails and glass. Writer 4 catches this exact momentum. Using the copper and the artifacts, they drive the protagonist down to discover an ancient copper basin. In this blind system, authors are frantic psychological interpreters. They scan the details left by their predecessors and match the patterns, converting extreme constraints into narrative momentum. By the time the story reaches Writer 8, the burden is immense. The platform's constraints force them to synthesize all previously opened loops into a single conclusion. They deliver a stunning resolution. The twist stops. The library's anomalous books and copper wards aren't keeping intruders out. The library is a cage designed to keep something horrifying locked inside. A moment of wonder. This ending was never blueprinted at Chapter 1. It emerged entirely organically from the compounding constraints of the 8 previous handoffs. When human creativity is squeezed through rigid, blind parameters, it naturally seeks order and pattern matching over noise. This exact architecture has successfully generated dozens of finished books. The structural success replicates across genres, handling everything from magic to deep psychological sci-fi thrillers like Souls That Learn to Watch Back. Authorship here is a chain reaction. It's a collective act of catching whatever the last person threw. 8 strangers built a masterpiece in the dark. Tonight, there are 8 empty rooms waiting for their next writer.